You said wait.
Oh, no, babe.
You
Let's do
asked
it.
me
No, it's
to
good.
go?
Rock and roll,
Here we
baby.
go.
All right, let's go. Let's do
All
it.
right. So first things first, I want to shout out Jesper and Kirsten for having their baby.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. Little
Congrats.
Zane. Congratulations,
Yeah.
guys. One of
Clapping
the
so
first
softly, only the video can see it.
All claps.
one of the first coming into the second wave, among the second wave people. What is the for those of you who haven't seen the video or I guess listen to the audio of Bernard, I think it's called The First Wave, right?
Mhm.
Right. Bernard Pullman, The First Wave. It's a very short audio. Highly recommend. Just go to YouTube. Bernard Pullman, The
I think
First
it's
Wave.
on my channel,
Cool. Nice.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I just
Yeah.
listened to it again.
I think it's the
like
only
2 days ago.
place.
Oh,
Exclusive.
I
you
really think so.
uploaded it. Okay, cool. Yeah,
yeah,
right. And in that audio, he talks about kind of like putting the generations into perspective. And because at the end of the day, our children are going to go far beyond what we're going to be able to do because we're working through all these things, all these points of low self-esteem that our children won't have to work through. That is the number one determining factor of success. Having a high self-esteem. And so that's why it's really exciting, this new addition, little Zane. That newborn pic, that's an adorable picture.
It's a pretty good picture.
Yeah, like normally newborns look like little aliens, I find.
And I gotta say, it's a pretty badass name. Sounds like he's gonna
Zane.
he's gonna come out with like a fucking battle axe and like a shield.
That's how Cameron pictures every name.
He's like leading all of the Europeans. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. So congratulations, you guys. That is awesome. You guys are gonna be awesome parents. And I mean, look at Jesper, man. I remember when I caught we were talking back and forth. This was like must have been, I don't know, 4 months ago or plus, right? And he was like, "Hey, man, it's just like my chief aim. Like, I'm kind of struggling financially, and like, it's my chief aim to. I think it was a while ago, but he's like, it's my chief aim to get to 5K a month. And in a matter of like 3 or 4 months, he's like now double that, and it's just hilarious. When you have the community, when you have the principles, when you have the tools, you can always move faster than you think. Mitchell's a great example. We go to his house. I'm like, Mitchell, this is a beautiful place, all this stuff. He's like, yeah, I got my 10-year vision in 2 years. It was just so funny to me. Because the significance of that, it's literally what everyone's looking for, right? Everybody wants that, the beautiful wife, the beautiful house, right? They're having their house built right now. As you know, as they're going through the pregnancy, Jesper and Kirsten. Yeah. They're having their new house built right now. So it's like, you can have everything you want so long as you're committed to taking on more responsibility in the context of changing the system to a world that's best. So congratulations to you guys. That's awesome. And then Mitch, I mean, these podcasts are getting shorter, so we just jam pack it, baby. Mitch, there is a lot going on your side. And, you know, I know you've shared a lot on the Self-Perfected call and the TT Distributors call, but give these people who listen to the podcast exclusively a little taste about what's going on in Minneapolis.
Wait,
and Minnesota, I guess.
Should we drop the intro right now?
It should already be dropped.
Let the suspense build. Okay, drop it.
Danger. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Self-Perfected.
You know the part, Drake, you know the part where you're like, whoa, wait, did you say hold on? Did you say hold on? I was like, yeah, let's go. Just intro. Now the people listening to it are going to be like, what? You already did it. Right?
You can definitely tell we're the kind of people that like to nitpick and really make sure everything is perfect before we do anything.
Exactly.
So
we try to make sure we have every green light and have social approval by everybody before we release anything.
After all, that is self-perfected. It's like perfectionism.
Yeah, and also we're already perfect, so we can't do anything wrong, so we don't worry about it.
Right,
It's
exactly.
literally all grace flows from our fingertips and from our mouths.
So speaking of that, right, because the state of the world is perfect as well, like we were saying last week.
Exactly.
We don't really have to do
it's just a
anything.
matter of perspective, how you choose to view it.
It's just
The world's just here to learn a lesson.
We should do an episode where we literally just bullshit the whole time and like act like fucking spiritual people. And
Ooh, that'd be really
kind of fun.
awesome.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And
You know what I was
when he
thinking
tries to
of?
be realistic about anything, you just be like, dude, you're being so negative right now.
I can do that
Guys,
right now.
wait, I have a good one. I had this idea for like self-perfected TV when we're making like TV shows and stuff. A good comedy skit would be like we're making like a Disney show, except we're really explicit in all the weird fucking shit, like
It's like
the
really
weird
obvious.
Illuminati shit and like
Oh yeah.
the things that they're subconsciously programming children with and all that stuff. We're doing it like explicitly.
No, like the principal is literally his head is like a triangle with like an eyeball.
exactly. And then like the person getting in trouble is like, wait, I shouldn't try to change things and I should just say sorry and give back and like just make it over the top.
And you know how like there's like always the thing where like the kid's invited to like the cool kids party and he's like nervous and all this stuff, right? And he shows up there and it's like a fucking cult ritual and they're like sacrificing people and stuff.
And then he feels
like that.
uncomfortable and stuff, and then he goes along with it, and like,
And like a Disney producer approaches him, so it's kind of like really meta.
yeah, I think that's a good skit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be
Okay.
fun.
I was thinking it was like a whole TV show, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
We'd
we
play
could do it
multiple
like that
episodes
too,
in
where it's just like a
multiple
whole
seasons.
hilarious TV show. That's great.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm down.
Okay, Mitch, take it away, man. What's going on
Okay.
in that state?
Well, I know a lot of us over the past couple of years, right? We were talking about this idea of vaccine passports, and boom, we're already down in the algorithm. And you know, a year ago, it was nothing but a conspiracy theory. Even our governor here in the great state of Minnesota was saying that stuff is a lie. That stuff doesn't exist. There's not going to be vaccine passports. You can find them on YouTube saying this. And voila, what do you know? Last week, there was announced a vaccine mandate and passports in Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Does anyone else feel like they're being gaslighted? What's going on here?
I mean, I don't know, man. It's this
Is
novel
gaslighting just when
virus
you light your
variant.
own farts?
No,
I do that every morning.
that's
I
a
have
separate-
to because Christine says my farts stink, and so
That's fart lighting.
oh.
You use gas for the fart lighting. You use farts for gaslighting. So when you're getting
What is the
gaslit,
gaslighting in this context?
it's like, no, you're crazy for thinking that this is going to happen. You're crazy for thinking
Oh,
that,
okay.
you know, vaccine passports are going to be a thing. Like, come on, guys, don't be crazy. Like that kind of thing.
And now,
Right.
Jacob Fry, the wonderfully infamous and crazy
I can't believe
mayor
he's still
of
in office.
Minneapolis. Yeah, I was reading one of his articles today, and he said it's just going to be temporary. It's just going to be
Oh.
temporary till we get this under control.
Everything's in reverse.
Of course, right? And so we all know this, right? It was 2 weeks. Now it's however many weeks. And anyway, so I've been seeing this, right? And you know, I get involved politically. We run businesses, so you know, policy does affect what we can do and what we can't do in the cities and in the state. And a couple months ago, I had heard about this guy, Neil Shaw, and he's a doctor at the Mayo Clinic, or he was a no, he still is. But he has his practice, right? And he like removes cancer from people's skin and stuff. But he's like, hey, I'm tired of this BS, like all these career politicians. He's like, I just have my practice, but I see where the world is headed. I see where our state is headed, and I'm not going to let that happen for myself and my kids. He even had the thought of, as I'm sure most Minnesotans do, of, oh, what if I just go to Florida or Texas and just, you know, it's too bad here. But he, along with many others, have said, no, we're going to sort this shit out here. So I love that. So I met him at a dinner like a month ago and chatted with him and his wife for a while. I was very impressed by his take. Is very much just pro common sense. If you want you and your kids to wear the mask, okay, sure, that's your choice. That's not the government's choice. But also, we should not be mandating any of that. And he's got all the data to prove it. But you know, nowadays data doesn't really matter. So anyway, he's really stepped up, but his appeal to a younger audience and all that, like he needs to get his voice out there more. So I see my responsibility in this is I have a network, you know, I care about who's, you know, in our government. I'll just pull some strings, right? Talk to some people, you know, share what he's about. And so I got, you know, involved in his campaign to support, and, you know, I'm going to go out and go to the caucus and do my, you know, my part in it.
And can you mention real quick the two main points of his platform?
Yeah, so the two main things is it's stopping vaccine mandates on all levels, as well as the second is passing what he calls the Never Again bill, which is that as soon as the emergency situation is over in the state, the governor has to relinquish the powers that he gained during that time. You can read about it online, but from day one, he wants to pass that. He wants to end all the COVID restrictions. He's also, into, there's a lot. I'm not going to get into it here.
And isn't the Never Again bill making it so that like they can never shut down the economy again or something like that?
Yeah, there's a nuance to it. So if there is a true emergency again, then yes, it's like we can, apply common sense. But as soon as that emergency is lifted,
Gotcha.
then it's, yeah. And Ivan, don't fully quote me on that. People will quote me on that, but
I like what you said earlier about like, he's got all the data, but people don't care about data these days.
transformation.
That phrase, is it like facts don't care about your feelings? It's like feelings don't care about your facts at all.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's really funny. But it's so true. So anyway, so I've been, connecting with this campaign, and it's great because I'm finding like-minded people who are also into self-perfected and everything that we're talking about, which creating a world that's best, educating our kids, taking our kids out of the school system, homeschooling them, all that. So it's great, like-minded people. So I had already set up an event for today to just talk with like-minded people who are into this Shaw guy, get them involved in the campaign, hear what they can do. Well, so I already set up the event. Then Wednesday, this past week, they just announced, the St. Paul and the Minneapolis mayors announced the vaccine passports for businesses, restaurants, concerts. It's like a subset of things. And it's in that exact same day, I got invited to this Patriot meetup that was also like a caucus training of like, how do you actually now go influence the people that then decide who actually gets on the ballot? Because a lot of people say, okay, I'll vote for Shaw. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. You have to understand the system. You have to understand the vocabulary of it. So I got connected with the best people I've ever met yet in terms of political strategy and political intelligence, in terms of how they know how to mobilize people. They know how to door knock. They know how, and they've influenced elections in many different states just based off of the grassroots movement and understanding the system and how to get people on the ballot. So I've been enjoying that. That's been great. But then we just started posting like, hey, we have this, I called it a anti-mandate pro-freedom meetup. I called it political change, anti-mandate, and pro-freedom. Oh, and I put in caps, I said, no vax required. I said, in-person meetup, no vax required. And
please bring your PCR test.
Yeah, right, exactly. And wear 2 masks. No, of course not. So that was cool, right? So I posted that, started sharing with people. Then they're like, hey, how many people can we bring? Like, I got a whole group of friends I want to bring. So I was like, okay, there's like a clear demand for this. And we were going to do it at the office I've been using, which we've never had any issue with in the past. And I got a call Friday morning, like basically it's like got a slap on the wrist, like, hey, we noticed you're posting pictures online of your meetups and you guys clearly aren't for the mask and all that stuff. Like, there cannot be any gathering here where no one is wearing a mask. Like, we are following the Minneapolis guidelines. I was like, well, all right. I'm like, I was cordial on the phone. I know that lady, it wasn't her decision. It's coming from much higher up. But then I talked to them. I'm like, okay, look, there goes my business. I'm not, doing business here. And within like 2 hours, because the power of the network and everything, we found an even better location, a little bit more outside the city, that can now really handle this capacity. So that's in 4 hours or 3 hours today. It's going to be awesome. And then, but again, the whole point that I'm looking for is I'm not trying to start a protest. I'm not trying to start a rally. I'm not looking for political power or something like that. I'm a citizen of the state and of this country. I see where this bullshit is headed with the vaccine mandates. I know where that's headed. And I know we can do something about it. And especially in the state, there's so many like-minded people. They're just not in the city. Everywhere else, though, is very much like, hey, pro-freedom, pro-liberty, you do you, I'll do me, And obviously within Self-Perfected, you'll see we don't just jump to one party or the other. we're looking for the best equilibrium and something that politics hasn't even seen yet. But I see that this is the next logical step within the system that's happening, where these more business-minded people or people that do not really want to be career politicians, they're willing to get into office. So I see it as an awesome way to bring all these people together, connect them into our network, and then be able to look for the action takers, look for the people who are serious. They're not just a keyboard warrior. They're willing to spend an hour on February 1st, go out to caucus, get elected, right? Then be part of that movement. And then throughout it, I mean, I'm meeting amazing people. Like yesterday, I went to the gun range and then out to lunch with a couple guys that are just, they care. They really care. They have passion. They see what's happening in their communities and everything, and they're fed up. And they're looking for homeschooling solutions, right? None of them have cracked the code on how do I school my kids. Perfect, right? We can chat about that. So anyway, it's just this, it's like, preparation meets opportunity. And now I see, I don't know if there's going to be 20 people there today. I don't know if there's going to be 200. They definitely cannot fit 200. So that'll be epic, because I'm told one of my friends is like, please get video because we need to, I want to see this. Yeah, and I'm going to talk for 15 minutes. I have the campaign manager for Shah. He's going to talk. I have another guy with the Action for Liberty group, the political geniuses. They can't endorse a candidate, but they can talk about issues they support, which they support stopping vaccine mandates and that Never Again bill, which is awesome. So I'm gonna have one of them talk. And then we have another lady, Cece Davis. She's running for US Congress against Ilhan Omar, where I know Ilhan is, quite the person in Minneapolis. And you can watch the Project Veritas expose on that too. That's fascinating. And yeah, so getting everyone in the room, and it's going to be, it's going to be awesome.
And real quick, just in terms of like, just seeing the point of this, Mitch, for all the Minnesotans that you're going to end up sharing this with, right? This clip or this podcast, like, what's your message to them? What do you?
Well, just being a keyboard warrior or just thinking you can wait till election day and show up there is not going to cut it. Like, you have to do your part, which is not that hard. You have to take responsibility, go to the Action for Liberty Patriot meetup and caucus training. They're doing it every night over the next 13 nights until caucus night. So go to that, get informed. Second would be reach out. I can plug you in, get you resources so you can share with your friends. And then the third is, go out to caucus on February 1st. And then that's the next step. You got to get elected as a delegate, which is not hard at all. And you can do the whole training. So you literally do a mock caucus. But yeah, that's actually, they talk about getting as upstream as you can. So if you're just trying to get a politician and tell them about some issue or whatever, they don't care. But if you can get upstream to where you're 1 in 100, where you can influence what happens in the room, that's key. And so that's as upstream as you can get in the process is what you want, because then you have the political power. And there's one other fascinating point. They were explaining how politics is just a popularity contest. So the reason that Jacob Fry and all these governors and mayors that are saying, oh, well, we need to lock down more or whatever, it's just because of opinion polls.
Right.
It's just what the polls are saying. So we get in the room that affects the polling. Then they're like, oh, people don't want the mandates. Okay, sure. That's it. So that's what we have to influence.
Have y'all listened to that video from Bernard on opinions?
Yeah, a while ago.
I would listen to that one again, and I'm recommending it to everybody else too. Because like a lot of times when people come into our groups, we're like, we don't care about your opinion, and people react to that. It's like, well, but I have a right to my opinion. And it's like, well, it wasn't an opinion. An opinion is a conclusion you've come to, not based on actually understanding everything and using principles within your logic. It's just based on, generally speaking, some kind of feeling you have about something, and you don't really want to look at all of the details of how you came to that conclusion. And so you have an opinion. An opinion is literally like, well, think about this. If no one had opinions, how could they do opinion polls? Well, why is an opinion poll necessary?
Right.
Like
why should a politician do an opinion poll to find out what people's opinions are about a mandate?
Yeah.
Why? Because everyone has a right to their opinion, and that's how they're going to make decisions. So when it comes down to time to vote, generally people are going to go with the person who has the same opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's not actually based in reality. So when you're looking at all of this, and I know when you're in this political game in the current reality that you're in, because obviously you're not walking with a bunch of people incel perfected. You're kind of in that environment there that's already got a lot of people with opinions. So you're playing in that game and kind of learning a lot of things about it. But the reality is, if everyone were able to drop their opinions and actually look at reality directly, then you wouldn't even need politicians. You would literally just say, who is really effective at managing some type of system? Like, oh, like, a guy who's really good at computers. That's the guy you always go to, right? You're like, hey, I have this computer issue. So people are effective at certain things. They have certain kind of skill sets and so forth. So you'll put someone in a position who's very effective at that skill set. And it's not their decision-making capability based on measuring opinions. It would be everybody voting on what's the decision. Does that make sense? But the only way that would work would be if people don't have opinions. You see what I mean? And the point of voting would be able to have everybody give their consent to it based on looking at all of the logic. The only way that would work would be if everyone had a high vocabulary.
I just read this quote on it was a Bernard quote on Facebook. And I don't have it off the top of my head like verbatim, but the general gist of it was, why does everyone say basically, all we need is love? If everyone just loved, then the world would be a better place. Well, and I'm not quoting or really paraphrasing, I'm just taking the basically the concept behind it, right? But if what's the end result of all we need is love? What's that supposed to lead to? Oh, everyone's being taken care of, everyone cares for each other, and we have a world where we're all happy and taken care of, no one's suffering. Okay, well, why don't we just go to that part? Why does it have to go through this love thing first,
Right.
this feeling first? Like, fuck that. That's your opinion, right? It's the same thing. It's just go to the logical, what's actually best. But because people are not, when you say people are not willing to consider what's best, it's really like people don't trust that they're going to make the best decisions oftentimes, because they make shit decisions all the time, right?
The love thing is similar to the opinions because, or I guess it's the same thing, but it's like, if I have this vague feeling, somehow everything will work out.
Yeah.
It's like, I have this feeling, therefore it must be right. Therefore, if I just amplify that feeling or focus on that feeling, everything will work out. But that's not how anything is built. That's not how a house is built.
Yeah.
It's not how your plumbing gets fixed. You know what I mean?
That's
like, you
not
don't
how the
expect,
system was built from the
right?
perspective
Like
of,
when you have a problem with your plumbing, you don't call somebody and just go like, hey man, I love you. Like, you call somebody and they come over and you probably don't even know them. I don't care about them or anything, but they know how to fix your plumbing. And that's what we need within the world that we're in currently, is people who know how to fix and solve and design systems and so forth. But that the starting point of the outflow of it is that every person is equal and deserves equally what is best. So that takes care of the love part that everyone thinks is so important. Do you know what I mean? Because they're thinking, well, if you don't have love, I mean, you just hate you. What? I mean, how are you gonna?
Well,
And
no,
it's like, no.
There's another part within that as well. It's that people use their feelings as if that is it. Like, that's the purpose of life. And that's enough. Like, the feeling is enough. And so
right.
When someone feels love, okay, I'm there, I got it, I feel love, that's enough. Or when someone feels tired, I'm not going to do it, I'm tired. That's like enough for them to stop doing whatever it is they're doing, and instead of doing what's necessary,
So this is what I see is like the key point within, like, the point that Mitch was hitting on is like, it's not enough to even say, okay, yeah, Shaw has my vote. It's kind of irrelevant if you don't know how to actually move in the system. It's kind of irrelevant how badly you want to be a millionaire or a billionaire if you don't know how to move in the system, how to build a business, because the main lack is going to come from a lack of vocabulary. That's it, period. The people who mobilize and get all these like people into office who don't support anything that even makes sense. Like you might, like theoretically, in theory, right? You can have the majority of people in a state disagree, like in other words, hold a contrarian position to the one that actually makes it into office, right? It's because they don't know how the system works. You just need a minority, because the fascinating thing that Mitchell shared, he was like, I don't understand the entirety of it, but you'll get the concept. It's like, in order for a vote to even count, you have to show up at this event where then they choose the delegates or something like that. And let's say hypothetically they choose 29 delegates in total. There'll be like 35 people who even show up. So if you even get there,
Or 25, they don't even have all 29 show up because no
Right.
one understands that, except the businesses understand this, and certain politicians understand this. So they will send their people out there because they know how the system works. And then they go in there and then they can write in all their friends, because there's different, not loopholes, but there's different rules that if you're aware of it, that's your way through.
it's so simple. It's like the feeling part is so negligible. And this is the trap of activism. This is the trap of I'm raising awareness for.
Yeah.
Awareness doesn't fucking matter. You can have everybody aware. We talk about this all the time. It's the same concept of making everybody aware that the earth is flat and not round. Therefore, if everybody just knew that God was real, if everybody just knew that the earth was flat, if everybody just knew how corrupt the government is and all that stuff, nothing would change. Nothing would change, because the people who don't give a fuck about that are the ones who understand how the system works. And they're the ones going to those meetings where what they do actually counts, because they actually understand how the system works. So what is our responsibility within that? It's pretty simple. The best way, by the way, to find out how the system works, the way I found out the most about banking and how the entire banking system works, is by building a business. Because building a business makes everything black or white. You either get the result or you don't. So it doesn't matter how you feel if you are focused on that. In fact, by the way, anybody listening to this who's trying to build a business and you're wondering what's going wrong, it's everywhere where you're focused or paying attention to or measuring your success based off how you feel about what you're doing. In other words, is your lead generation or your focus or your schedule based off how you feel at all whatsoever, right? I don't feel like this is the right time to contact that person. Great. You're not successful in business. Oh, the weather's bad today. I put on my camera and you can see the lighting is kind of blue because it's like really raining out here. He's like, looks kind of gloomy out there. I know so many people who avoid the rain like it's the plague. It's like, that person is not somebody who's going to have an effect because they're at effect. They're not at cause. So it's really this point of, which is really cool watching you move through this, Mitch, because you mentioned this really cool point. You're like, I think you were saying it, or Seth was saying it, something like, 2 weeks ago, the amount of understanding that we had about the political system was like 5% or whatever. Now, what you were saying was, well, now it's over 99. Go ahead.
It's like, now we know more than at least I'll say 95% of people about the political system.
Right. And the way you were describing it, the way you're describing it is like, I see the whole beast in front of me. Right. And the point I was reflecting on is the only reason you can see that in your mind is because you put in all the vocabulary you were talking about when you went to the initial event. You see what I'm saying? I'm like,
and I was here. So I was hearing at the very first event, and then I got on a call. They were explaining this like caucus thing, and you have to be a delegate to the convention. And I was like hearing it.
PLOU, or what is that?
BPOU, and you have to be a BPOU captain. It's like basic political operating unit. I was like, what is this? Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, I obviously have not integrated this vocabulary. But then it's like, well, okay, no problem. So I went home, did my techno tutor, watched then the YouTube video they suggested. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty straightforward. Right. Then went to the next training, kept doing my TET throughout the whole thing. Now I'm like, okay, I understand how to do this to the point where I can now speak today in front of however many people show up about this. But I'm like seeing how much people don't, one, have the vocabulary, and two, the ability to sell and make it really plain to people and help people get that emotion that they feel of like, oh, the government's oppressing me, to then, okay, well, here's what I can do about it. And obviously that's multifold, because even just going to caucus and going and voting, and let's even say, right, we get shot in office. Okay, that's just one little step in the whole thing.
Well, that's just one guy who's just not going to do something.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just, that's all it is. It's just a person who's going to sit there and not do something. How does that get everybody else who's involved in the government and everything to go and do what is best?
Mhm.
So it's cool to have that point there. It's like with Trump, he got us 4 years of time. Where he just didn't do a
Buying
lot of
time.
things. So there's things he did too, but there's a lot of things where he just didn't do and dismantled things. So, I mean, for example, think about all the fucking growth in the bureaucracy since the COVID thing at the federal level, every level, right? And one of the complaints that the people on the left have about Trump is that he dismantled a lot of stuff. And that's what he was doing. He's like going in there and taking apart a lot of this bureaucratic shit. That, imagine if that was all there and had grown over the last 4 years he was in office, and then COVID.
Right.
I mean, you'd already probably have federal fucking vaccine passports. You know what I mean? You'd have everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
checkpoints and shit.
in the context of politics right now, it's like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't go and support a candidate or get involved or something, but the problem is you don't have enough people who are high vocabulary, like you're saying, like you were just making that point with Mitch, because even the people where it's like, well, look, the call to action here is to go and get involved and go to the caucuses and learn all this stuff. They can't process that. And then even if they can process it, what are their principles?
Mhm.
You know, because are we here standing for freedom? Are we standing for anti-vaccine mandates?
No.
Like, doesn't mean that you
That's-
can't use
that's
those
exactly
things.
what we stand for.
You can
Yeah,
use those points, and those things are not, those are what I would say would be included in what we're doing.
exactly.
But that's the end of the line for most of these other people. Like, yes, end of the line, no vaccine mandates, freedom. But also my kids need to believe in God, and they need to respect authority and respect God and believe in Santa Claus and all this other shit. And then how, if that person were to get into office, what kind of decisions would they make? Still opinion based,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
No matter what politician you get right now, if they're coming from the outside and they haven't been walking through the destiny process, they're not going to, at the end of the day, make the best decisions. They might buy you some time. And I mean, hell, if you have to choose between A, B, and C is you don't have to do the vaccine mandates, then you should go with C. Do you see what I mean?
Hmm.
But if you then, I'm not saying you are guys doing this, I'm just saying, I'm talking to everyone generally. If you leave it at that, like, see, oh, cool, I got this guy in, no vaccine mandates. Yeah, well, how much power does this guy have versus Klaus Schwab and Bill
Exactly.
Gates and Mark Zuckerberg? Because while you're just resisting the vaccine mandates, if that's where the end of the line is for you, your children are getting sucked into metaverse.
Right. Oh, you'll need a to present your QR code, your vaccine QR code to get
Yeah.
on Microsoft, to get on your computer. Right.
They're not going to wear masks, they'll just wear goggles.
All right. Don't cover
Right.
your mouth, cover your eyes.
Right. So my point is always bringing it back to this point of principle, because it's good to go and learn how the system works. We need to know those things.
Mhm.
But our responsibility is to bring people into what we're doing, because everything they're trying to do is cool, let's just say. But without the training they would get from what we're doing, they will ultimately fail on that.
Yeah. So it was really cool because it was like 2 nights ago or something. Me and Mitch, I looked at the time, like how long we talked. We talked for like 3.5 hours, I think. From like
Oh,
starting
just one of your quick chats, Asif?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mitch, you got 5 minutes. Started at like 10:30, went to sleep at like 2:30 or something, or whatever, my time. And it was cool because he was breaking down, like, he was just the way Mitch sees it, right? And his step by step in terms of like learning the whole political system, and he's equated it to it's kind of been like your life. It's like you go into something, you learn everything it is, and you say thanks, and you go apply it for yourself, right?
Hey,
In
real
your
quick,
own category.
Mitch, do you remember like a long time ago when you had this conversation with me?
Hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? You already know where I'm going with this,
Yeah.
right? Where maybe you can say what it is.
Yeah, I remember because after I became a Technotutor distributor, realized the purpose of like, okay, we are here to, disrupt the whole education system, enroll, make sure everyone can get access to Technotutor, use it, apply it. And then, through that, we change the laws, change the economic system so that it's best for everyone, right? That's the bigger vision here. And part of that is getting into politics. So I remember asking Cameron, I was like, okay, so like, should I like read some political science books? What do I need to do to understand politics? Like, should I get involved at a state level? And he just explained like, no, like that's not necessary at all. Just build your business, because through your business, you go talk to people, you then sell people. They also become highly educated. So then it's not just you trying to get into the system. Like that's basically what Trump did. Sure, he made it in for 4 years, but he didn't have enough of a network of highly educated and effective people. So that's really the starting point, is build the business to then promote the change. And then as you're building the business, you're then going to find opportunity to then swing into these different systems we have.
And that's what I wanted you to talk about, is like, how did you even get to this point? Right. It's like, where was the start,
Yeah. I mean, it's literally just looking for the people around me and locally that want to genuinely make a change for ourselves and our kids, to make the world a place that's actually best, where everyone's life is, a life of dignity, and they understand things, and we can have an amazing life. We can enjoy it.
And so
Like,
correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, go ahead.
When we talk about freedom, the way I like to look at freedom is the freedom to enjoy life. That's only possible if you take the responsibility to get educated on how reality works, how you work, how your mind works, your ego, all this stuff in Destiny, the Destiny I process, Technotutor, all 15 levels and way beyond. Like, there's so much to learn. So that is the focus, and sharing that with people.
The cool part is
you get into different groups of people.
Right, exactly. Like that point specifically, the practicality of, okay, well, where you're at now, we're going to host an event from anywhere from double digits to triple digits of political people, all this stuff. The starting point was Seth and Amy were focused on building their business, and they went to an event.
Yeah, they got invited to a dinner.
Isn't it right? They went to an event, and then after that, from that event, they got invited to a dinner that you guys went, and then that's how it all occurred. So the starting point is building the business. And this is the point I wanted to make. The way you learn the system, the way you understand how things work, black or white, is by building your business. Because guess what? If Seth wasn't effective at building his business, i.e. selling, i.e. communication, i.e. conversationalists, right? Because he's a very good conversationalist, right? Seth, Mitch, Jess, Amy, this wouldn't have occurred. It would not have occurred. And that's the black and white measurement as to how many relationships did you build this, for this event that you went to? 0. Okay, great. Now you know what you need to work on. You're afraid of network. You're afraid of the starting point has to be business, because business is focused on result, right? And that's the thing that you can't fool yourself with feelings. So you're actually programming yourself to be a results-oriented person, not like a career politician. This is the difference, right? A career politician, they've never built anything. They don't have to build anything. They're either pro XYZ opinions, and then they have a whole system of businesses that support them, or they're anti, and they have a whole system of opinions that destroy them, right? So the real practicality here is, oh, and one more point is, because you're focused on business, you realize all your flaws. You realize everywhere where you're stupid and retarded, and then you have the tools. Without the tools, you're never going to be able to do it, because you got programmed to follow your feelings. You got programmed like a slave. And the way to change that is systematically on a step-by-step basis, because we were talking about this on the global hangout. That was a sweet hangout, right? That last one. And we were talking about, hey, Mitchell from 2 years ago, how would he be handling this, this event? And you're like, yeah, no, he would be, there's no way. Out
I
of
just wouldn't
stress
do
would be
it.
exactly. You don't even see the purpose of it, let alone be effective enough to create this, right? Because that point where you're mentioning, thank you. The point that you were mentioning of my office calls me, it was like 3 days before the event, and is
Mhm.
like, yeah, you're not allowed to do what you're planning on doing. And then the next, like within hours, not only did you find a new location, you now have like a list of locations that would be supportive of what you're here to do.
Mhm.
That's what somebody who's been working on themselves on a daily basis and pushing them in the context of building a business, and not just building a business, because you can you can make $1 million in trading and you still wouldn't be able to do this. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm glad you pointed that out. And that's why I've been saying a lot too, is the purpose of, for example, being a distributor is to support you to develop all of the points you need to be able to stand in the system with others as equals and make the changes necessary, because you don't have those skills yet. The problem is the people who don't agree with what's going on, they don't have those skills. That's why they don't have any say in the current system, because you don't know how to stand in front of a crowd. You don't know how to, you can't process most of the stuff that you would need to do that Mitch is learning about, but you also don't have the discipline. You go based on your feelings. Those are all skills that you need to develop, the ability to make rational decisions and so forth, that you would need to stand in a position in the system to direct it. And it's not that
even on
every
an
person has,
individual level, even on an individual
Right.
level, that's how you have a great relationship.
Mm,
You be a leader and you learn to communicate effectively. And when people have wild ideas, you support them in grounding themselves and being like, yeah, but look at it like this. You don't get that from just building any business. It's not about just building any business. It's about building a specific business that actually equates to you having to be really effective in the system. It was the thing that I hated the most and the thing that I was most grateful for initially. This is a while back when we didn't have all the things that we have now. But I'm like, damn it, this business, when I first became a distributor, it's actually making me, because it was my decision to want to build this business, right? But it's actually making me face all my bullshit that I didn't have to face before. And that's the funniest thing, man. I could make money in sales before. But when it came to something that's actually real and important, I started coming up against all my internal resistance. What does that say about how I was participating in my life? Couldn't hold down a relationship, couldn't have any purpose, couldn't have any vision, couldn't wake up on time, all these things, because everything that I was participating in wasn't actually equal to my life improving. It was this external result that I was looking for, that if I get this little external result, right? If I get this girl, if I make this money, then that will make me, it didn't change anything. So this is what it means to actually align yourself with reality, is to get into business, but not just any business. The reason we're suggesting this business is because it's the only actual thing that will align you with reality. Nothing else requires you to actually align with reality. You can build an awesome business. You can, oh my God, this guy, he's been building businesses. He makes millions of dollars a year selling masks. The N95 too. That person doesn't give a fuck about reality. That person also doesn't have reality as a measurement of how successful he is. That person doesn't have a great relationship. Why? Because their business
and they're
doesn't
taking
roll.
advantage of opinion. That's what they're doing.
Right.
They're taking, they're just selling people based on opinion. So there's no principle in what they're doing. It's not that they don't, they can't be totally divorced from reality because they have to follow the principles of business,
Right.
but they're still not challenging people's opinions. And I think that's the big point that really explains all that stuff that you're having to face, is when you sell TechnoTutor, you have to challenge the other person's opinions.
You're not just going to fit into whatever person's bullshit.
Right. You're supporting them to let go of their opinions, because if they hold on to their opinions, they will not be an effective parent. They will not be an effective educator. Just look at the fucking education system now. All it is now, I mean, blatantly in your face. People are waking up without realizing this is what it is. They're waking up to the fact that the education system is just indoctrinating children with opinions. And I think they call it brainwashing. But anytime you form an opinion within yourself or another person, you're brainwashing. But look at the education system forcing children to learn about critical race theory and all this stuff, not in a way where it's balanced, not in a way where it's like, hey, look at the diversity in this world, look at the inequality in this world, how do we direct it in a way that's best, weaponizing it, right? Creating it from an emotional perspective. There's no actual understanding in the education system of how to support a child to think for themselves. And so parents are angry now because they realize that the school is brainwashing their kids. That should be a point where they realize, like, oh, I don't actually know how education worked because I put my kid in that system.
Right.
So I didn't even know how actually education worked. I just assumed they had it taken care of. But you should be able to know. It's like if you dropped your car off somewhere and then you got it back and it didn't fucking work. Doesn't that imply you don't know how cars work?
Yeah.
Because why'd you drop it off in the first place? And second of all, how come you couldn't tell these people were incompetent? Like, how come you as a parent can't sit down for 10 minutes with a teacher and go, this person doesn't know a fucking thing about how to educate kids? You as a parent intuitively know more because you have a kid. You should be able to tell this person doesn't know anything. They don't know how to educate. They know how to stand in front of a classroom and control kids' behavior and talk about something. But if they knew how to educate children, why wouldn't every child come out educated and thinking for themselves? Isn't that the primary thing you want? And like, for example, the way we look at educating our kids is not about, it's not that we don't give them knowledge, but we give them knowledge that's not opinion based. And we're very clear with them when we don't know something. We say, we don't know. Here are some options. We don't know. We have not been able to verify this for ourselves. And no one knows. And here are the different things people believe and why they believe certain things. But this is just something to be aware of. But if it's something like 1 + 1, we explain to them that's 2. We don't have them memorize it. We have them understand why it's 2. And we use TechnoTutor. So now they're at a point where they can read for themselves. They can therefore absorb information for themselves, but they know how to think and how to take in information in a way that's not biased. So when they take information in, they're not as susceptible to buying into it when it doesn't make sense, actually, when it's not based on principle. So our responsibility is always to bring them back to principles and to give them a very high vocabulary that's physically integrated so they can read and then they can do math and they can think for themselves. Think for themselves just means they're not encumbered with a bunch of fucking opinions. Think about that. When someone says, oh, I can think for myself, that's just what you normally think that means is, I have an opinion and I'm not just going to take your opinion because I have my own opinion.
Yeah.
That's not what thinking for yourself is. Thinking for yourself is being able to suspend even your own opinions and like be, oh, my opinion doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm letting go of that. Doesn't mean adopting another opinion. It means actually getting to the bottom of what it is. And that's why like business is a really good training ground for that, because you can't have an opinion. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, I can't have an opinion of how many sales did we make this month? Well, I feel like we had a great month. Well, did you actually or not? You see what I mean? Like, did you actually increase or not or whatever?
Mhm.
And people who do it based on feelings, they're doing everything based on feelings. Now, again, that doesn't mean you can't exploit other people's opinions and build a business based on that. That's like the name of the game, basically, in our world, isn't it? And that's the problem why we have so much when you look at it from a political perspective, there's so much influence that business has on politics. You see what I mean? Like, why would Walmart want people to wear masks?
Yeah. Well,
Like us.
no, because it benefits them 100%.
How?
Because the more people that buy into this is a real pandemic, you have to wear a mask, the more that they can influence, hey, that's why all these other businesses should be shut down. And you guys need to only come to our store and shop online for our online store. That way we can, let go of some of these people who we've been trying to let go of for a while. But, it just brings way more business into their business by them adopting that policy and gives them way more control. I was just reading, you read this book, How to Get Rich, Felix Dennis, and he talks about Walmart's policies or their internal policies, basically, of when they take on a vendor, they're basically like, you have to give us the best rate, better than the rates that you can even afford, really. It's like breaking the quality of whatever product they take in. The vendor has to decide, okay, in order to give Walmart this rate, I have to reduce my quality in order to even just break even, in order to just survive if I'm going to be in Walmart stores. But I'll get all these sales and all this stuff.
Because you
and
get
they
like
have to-
1 cent on each one.
Exactly. And so they've got to like make a decision of, I can be in Walmart and people will see my stuff, but then I'll have to like give them a shitty product and I'll barely survive. Or I can go on my own. Walmart's not going to have my product. They're going to have my competitor's product, and I'm going to have to figure out how to get my product in front of people. And Walmart does this with basically all their vendors, but that's like their way of thinking is it's our way or fuck off. They have like all the power within that. And so
Marjorie Taylor Greene talked about that. Did y'all see that interview she did on Tim Pool?
oh no, I missed it. No.
She just kind of mentioned this point about how like the people in her area or whatever, like they make blue jeans or whatever, and they can't even sell them at Walmart, and Walmart's putting them out of business, and they have to shop at the Walmart, but they can't even sell the products they make in the Walmart because Walmart is so cutthroat about the way they do pricing. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you think about it, people complain about Walmart doesn't pay their people well, but the
But
only
then you
reason
shop at
Walmart
Walmart.
exists is because a lot of people want low prices.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a real problem that we have.
It's the same thing with Amazon, how Amazon treats their workers. Oh man, they treat them like slaves, but then you want your product in 2 days or less. You know?
Well, I'll give you a quick example. Like I talked about this on another meeting where I was ordering this part for this lathe that I have. And I had done my research on Amazon. I saw these different things. I watched some YouTube videos, and I really just was not sure if it was going to fit on my lathe or not. Like what was the right one I needed to get. So I called this other company called Rockler, and they're like a woodworking company. And the only reason I called them was because they had my lathe on their website as one of the ones they sell. And they had one of the pieces also on there. So I was like, hey, I can ask them if it'll fit. So I called them, and I called the customer service. And after only a few minutes, they answered. And I asked this guy, I told him what I had, what I was trying to figure out and everything. So he was like, oh, actually, no, you should get this one. He recommended to me specifically a better one. And then he said something that made me realize he knew something about woodworking. So I asked him another question, and I talked to him for like 20 minutes, asking him all these questions. And it was like somebody who had experience actually working with wood and so forth. Like they weren't just somebody who was selling a lathe because they could do it really cheap and put up an e-store. It was a guy who worked at the company who knew what the fuck he was talking about. Like he actually used them. You know what I mean? Like he knew how to work. So he was like giving me advice on what wood to use and where I can get the stuff and like all this other stuff. That would not have happened if I had called Amazon. If I had called Amazon, well, obviously they wouldn't even have answered my first question because they wouldn't even have known. Because Amazon, if you think about it, one product is not related to another product. But this company, and it's just one particular company, obviously it wasn't even like they trained their employees. Like clearly they're hiring people who know what the fuck they're talking about. You know what I mean? They're not just hiring for someone to answer the phone. So it's just an example. And then my point being that after that, I bought the piece from that company. I had to pay for shipping. I had to pay like $30 for the shipping. And it was like $20 extra than I could have got it on Amazon. I could have got free shipping and $20 off the price. And I was like, well, what do I want to support? Do I want to support this company that was worth the $30 of shipping just to
What he
talk to the
told you,
person?
right.
'Cause, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've watched tons of videos and I couldn't get those answers. And it was just, if I could just meet somebody who knows how to do it, I could just ask them questions. That's why I like every time I have someone who helps me with something, I always ask them a bunch of questions about it because I can learn from it. I'm like, well, I have them here. I might as well ask them. Right. I don't remember how we got onto that point, but it's kind of like the Walmart point too. And you guys I'm sure you've had this experience when you go buy something at Walmart. And look, I'm not criticizing if people shop at Walmart because in the current system, what fucking choice do you have?
Yeah.
Like, it's not about, pull all your money out of Walmart. I mean, make practical decisions. If you stop shopping at Walmart right now, you might make your life harder. And then how much focus are you going to have to put on figuring out where to get every little tiny thing and not actually doing anything to change the system? So my focus would be change the system. And then when the opportunity arises or it makes practical sense, I can make these decisions, right? But have you ever had this experience where you go to Walmart and you ask for help with something and the person has no fucking clue?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
literally they probably just got hired 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, I knew I
Or
used to
can't
work at
find-
Walmart.
Right.
I worked at Walmart when I was younger. Like, and I was the guy unloading the trucks and stocking stuff. If somebody asked me, it was just like if I had come across it already. There was no training, there was no knowledge, there's no understanding. I didn't know one fucking thing from another thing. It was just whatever they put on the shelves. Like the worker is irrelevant in the equation, and there's no value in it. But imagine if they wanted to hire someone like me now, why the fuck would I go work at Walmart? Because I don't need the money, obviously. But how much would they have to pay me? Somebody who actually understands maybe the products that are in there.
Yeah.
They'd be paying you a lot differently.
Yeah.
Right. And so then the prices of the product would have to go up. So it'd be a whole different model. So like when you're a distributor, for example, for TechnoTutor, you're not just some random person who's like, and this is the difference. Go work for a sales company. You learn the product just enough to sell it. You're not the fucking expert. You see what I'm saying? The expert is after you sell the product, then they go talk to maybe the expert. But in TechnoTutor, you have to become the expert. And the whole, think about this. And somebody might say, well, that sounds like a lot of work I'm going to have to do just to sell a product. But all those problems that you mentioned earlier, Asif, like your relationship isn't working, all those points, you have to solve those with TechnoTutor because it's the key tool to support you to solve all of those problems. So you become the expert just by solving the problems in your life. Imagine you could go walk at Walmart. What problems does it solve for you?
None.
What problem? It solves maybe just the problem of getting a regular
Survival.
paycheck every 2 weeks. Go work for some other company. What problem does it solve for you?
Survival.
Go build another business. Go, like, what's an example of a business somebody could build?
Trading, MLM,
Trading, e-commerce,
restaurant. Yeah.
What problems
Maybe
does
not
that
anymore,
solve?
but
Yeah. I mean, there's very few, more and more, there's not going to be very many businesses. It's such a
Mhm.
good point. Like, what businesses can you
real
build?
estate,
It's like,
house flipping. you
right.
name it.
All it solves for you, generally speaking, is the problem of money. And you have to get good at persuasion and so forth.
And
that's why
only
most people don't
5% of
make it.
people does it actually even solve that for, of people who go into business.
But why is that?
Because people are
they're too
ineffective.
stupid.
Yeah.
They're stupid. They can't learn. I mean, I want to know how many real estate agents are licensed every year? And what's the income of the average realtor? Not the average income of realtors, but the income of the average realtor. I'm guessing it's exactly the same as MLMs.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's the same. It's probably the same as people who start a restaurant. It's probably the same as people who start a business.
Mhm.
Most people fail.
Yeah.
And there's a very few who do very well in it because those people already, for some reason, had the programming to make it work, and their natural learning ability was open enough, or for whatever reason, they were able to integrate the vocabulary necessary. But the whole point of the problem we're solving with TechnoTutor and with Self-Perfected and Destined everything generally is to support the average person to then integrate what is necessary to build a very effective life for themselves. Because more and more and more, what is being realized by people is that the average person is fucked right now. They don't know how to do anything. They're totally reliant on the system. And I posted a video from Jordan Peterson this morning. I just saw it today. Maybe he just posted it. It's called It's Time to Live or Time to Live or something like that. He just made it, I think. And he makes this point about going through this experience of he was trying to purchase something and the bank wouldn't let him purchase it because they were like, why are you suddenly in this other place? Like the fraud alerts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And it took him like an hour to get it fixed or whatever. And he was like trying to buy a plane ticket. I don't know what he was trying to do. I can't remember. But he was just explaining how all the systems that we're so used to in the West of just working are suddenly not working.
It's true.
And they're being broken. And I mean, he made this point, and it's funny because I'm seeing this myself. I don't know how much do you guys have experienced this. It probably depends. Well, it might be different depending if you live in a city or where you live. Mitch, you kind of have maybe a little bit more of the experience for me that I'm having. But it's like there's so many things I'm doing right now in terms of our property, even in TechnoTutor business, supplies, things like that, where you talk to the person and they're like, either their supplier is having delays, or they're having a problem because of people being sick, out of the workforce, low staff,
Right.
things like that. And there's so many things like I'm insulating the barn on the property, and they were supposed to come last week. And then the day before they were like, we still haven't got the order from the factory yet. And they say it's going to be by the end of the month. And then the guy who came to help me clear some trees on the property to put the fencing, separate issue, he was having trouble getting parts to repair one of his machines because of supply chain issues. And they were like backed up. And then
Right.
it's like at every single level, there's all like the bolts to fix the cutter, the grass cutter on my tractor are on back order. There's just like, I see it in so many different areas. Even like the car that we bought, there was only 2 of them. And you would think it's a Suburban, like should be like the lot should be full of them. And Katie had to call around for like 2 months trying to find one. And finally, when it was available, we went there right away to buy it because it was like literally somebody almost bought it before we got there. And it had, you know how many miles it had on it?
0.
Literally 2 miles. No, it was 1 mile. No. Yeah, it was like 1 mile or 2 miles or something. It was like 1 or 2 miles, like not even. Meaning it hadn't even been test driven. It was just like the thing when they put it on the truck or whatever, I think it was like 1 mile. Do you see what I'm saying? And so that's because of like microchips and there's low supply and this and that and everything.
Yeah.
So even if you look at it from that perspective, the average person who lives in a city, and even the average person who lives in a rural area, because most of them don't know how to do anything either, they're like totally fucked. And I mean, even I am. Everybody is. It's not like we're just going to go fucking live totally on our own now. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if right now there was no food in the grocery store. It's not like today I'm just going to be like, well, I'll just go in my garden and get all these vegetables. There's no fucking garden yet. Do you know what I mean?
You do have turkeys.
That we're starting that in the spring or whenever, soon or whatever it is. Katie's got a whole plan for it, but we moved from one place to another, so we don't have a garden yet. It's not like that stuff just suddenly grows, and then you have to develop the soil and the compost and all this stuff. And so why is it that our systems are breaking down? And why is it that so many people before this pandemic said to us when we were like post things online, like, oh, what do you mean by the system? And like, what do you mean best for all? Like, what are you talking about? You just want to control everybody. And it's like, how long have we been saying, guys, the system is not working for everybody?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time before it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
Even the people who have money. Because think about it. If you have money right now, you still can't, like, I can have $1 million set aside just to build a fence that costs $10,000. But if the supplies aren't there, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, what am I going to do? Bribe somebody for something that doesn't exist? So money isn't even going to solve the problem, because now it's like we're starting to see that the whole system start to break down. And then I see that the elites are just like exacerbating it, because they want people to be probably depopulated, but also just they want people to be totally like fucking at wit's end, like not knowing what to do. And so any solution that's given, they'll totally adopt it. That's the other problem that we see politically, right? Is you have people who are just, you guys heard about this whole mass formation psychosis thing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Have y'all
We
heard about
talked
that?
about it
Like,
on the podcast before.
we did?
Yeah.
We talked about it last time?
No, not
you-
last time. Like
You know what I'm talking about, Asif?
I saw Mitch posted a story about why smart people, quote unquote, end up, giving into the cognitive dissonance. And
I don't
he
know if
pointed
it
out
was
the word
that
mass
one.
formation, but I don't know. I don't know what it means.
It was a further interview that they did with Dr. Malone and what's the other guy, Peter McCullough. But it was initially brought to public attention, I believe, on the Peter McCullough and then the Robert Malone interviews with Joe Rogan. And they're talking about some researcher from Belgium or somewhere in Europe, where basically that explains how certain series of events happen in society, which then can be used by people in power to then get everyone to just follow an agenda, such as everyone's isolated. There's a looming anxiety for months on end, right? There's a couple other steps, but then it ends with a solution being proposed, much like Hitler apparently did back in the 30s and 40s with like rising up to power in Germany. and then having his solution, to nowadays it's, Fauci and them constantly over and over, oh, stay home, stay safe, stay home, stay safe. Okay, vaccine, right? And now how you have people where when it literally does not make any sense, they will just fight tooth and nail to say, no, do your part, get your vaccine, even though there's a mountain of evidence saying that it doesn't make sense to do that. So anyway, the term for those mass formation psychosis, but on that other podcast, they were saying that even calling it psychosis it's not going to be as easily adopted. It's really just a mass formation, right? So it's a mass or a crowd of people forming in a certain way. And right now that's being used to manipulate everyone to then, give the vaccine. And of course, monies are profiting hand over fist from this thing. And, politicians are grabbing even more power through this thing. But it's really,
it's funny because they're just describing selling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At a mass level, That's all it is. Like, you're creating a problem, you amplifying it within the person, you're making them feel the anxiety of it, and then you're providing the solution, because they're like, anything you can do to solve this problem, as long as they can associate you with the person who can solve the problem, you'll do whatever they say.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how cults work. That's how fucking religions work. Like, and what's interesting was the pushback from the social media, like Google and stuff, saying like, oh, this is some term that's being adopted by the right wing to like control people's mind. And it's like literally the whole gaslighting thing.
Yeah.
They're literally, it's like a way of covering it up, man. They're like, this is a new thing someone made up and everything. It's like, fuck, man. Like, what? This hasn't been happening forever.
Isn't that interesting? Like, Mitch and Asif, I think you guys were talking about buzzwords, right? And how like, they'll make up new words in the media, and then it's like, oh, now you don't know what it is, and then you go along with all this shit, right? But then as soon as somebody else does it, where they've made up
genius
a new term, then oh no, this is right wing. This is like they know what's going to happen, so they have to shut it down immediately and like tag it as right wing or negative.
Genius.
Yeah. It's
even just the whole, like, the alt-right as a buzzword is so good.
Yeah.
Right. Because now it's associated with Trump, who's associated with Hitler. So if you're participating in the word mass formation, you're alt-right, and therefore you're Hitler. It's like all these subconscious points that have been put into people.
It's like what Joe Rogan was saying when he had Dr. Robert Malone on, and he was like, oh, I'm going to interview Dr. Malone to one of his friends. And his friend was like, oh, that guy's crazy. And he's like, oh, well, why do you say that? And he said his friend couldn't answer him. No reply at all. He's like, oh, you're just going along with what they've told you. All right. So it's like, it's as if, this new word comes in, and then like you're like holding this thing, like, how am I supposed to feel with it? And whatever that first impulse you get is like, oh, that's what the majority of people, that's what they're going to do. Is like,
okay.
Yeah.
That was really well said. That's exactly what I was trying to say earlier about the way we're educating our children.
Yes.
Is so that it's not, see, and this is the mistake that people who are religious make. They think, if I can indoctrinate my child with a religion, I can protect them from atheism or whatever. But the problem is the way you educated them was not in a way where they understand. So they didn't form that understanding themselves. So if it's an opinion-based understanding, someone can change their opinion. But when you educate your children in a way where they can understand what something is and make a decision about it based on what it is and whether it's best, you don't have to protect them. Do you see what I mean? And that's the problem, is like, so my point being that the way we're educating our children is, here's the vocabulary, here's what the words mean. So when you encounter them, you can look at it objectively.
Yeah.
And because people were not educated that way, then they go exactly to what you just said, which is they hear a word, they hear it impulsed with something, they form an opinion about it, and now that's their opinion about it. That guy's crazy.
Yep.
It's like, you never heard him talk. You don't even understand. You didn't even actually look at what the thing he was saying was. You just have an opinion that the person's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, what qualifies you to know someone is crazy or not? You're not a doctor. But they wouldn't even think of that.
No.
They would say only the scientists or the doctors can make these kind of medical claims. But then they would just have no problem saying someone's crazy without having done any investigation whatsoever.
Show me the science, right? No, but it's so simple. Exactly how Drake explained, exactly how Cameron explained it. This is how actual education works. When you're a child, and now it's you imprint on somebody by making them emotional, and then you give them a definition. And the
That's not how
definition,
education actually works.
right? Exactly.
Right. But that's how our education system works.
Exactly.
Quote,
Like
unquote,
how
education.
programming works, how
Well, hold on. That's not how our
manipulation works.
education system works. That's how the education system is exploiting
That
what the
point.
parent has
that
done in the
actually
first place.
happened earlier
Yeah.
on,
Right.
right?
Mm.
And so
The
what's
parent
happening
didn't
now
support the
is-
child to have a solid vocabulary that is able to understand and assess data objectively.
Yeah.
They have an opinion, emotional based vocabulary. So when they go to school, you just keep piling stuff on top of that. And the child, it's not even like the school has to do something special. You just give them the information you want them to know,
Yeah.
because the child's already programmed to take in the information and sort it based on opinion.
and
So
then
it's like if you give them
simple.
opinions, they won't even question it.
Exactly.
Think about
Because
it.
It's like it's this pyramid scheme. It's this pyramid scheme of like information dissemination. Where at the top, they're like, okay, anybody who opposes what we say, fuck them up, right? And then it's like, okay, release the media that this Dr. Robert Malone, who claims that I was reading an article. It says this is a doctor who claims that he invented the mRNA vaccine or mRNA technology, right? I'm like, that is already established. And they didn't refute it, but they're just using these words that inherently instill doubt, right?
That'd be like if I was saying, oh, Asif, he's the guy who claims he's Kian's brother.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying it's not true that he's Kian's brother. I'm just saying you claim it. But that
Exactly.
automatically makes you think it's not true.
Yeah.
Just because
Exactly.
I said you claim it.
Right. And then, but then you also can't say that Cameron said that I'm not his brother. You can't say that.
Right. You can't
Right.
hold me
Right.
accountable.
Right.
So that's what's happening at the media level that imprints on the people, right? They're like, oh, this guy's fucking claiming shit. Oh my God. And then guess what? At the bottom level of the pyramid scheme, right? It's like Cameron's like, you know, hey, like Drake, who's this like Robert Malone guy? And Drake's like, oh, it's just like this crackpot who's like anti-vax. Not the part where he invented the fucking vaccine, like the technology, right?
Right.
So it becomes this point of you're like, what's this new vocabulary? And then Drake says, imprint, boom, got it. All right. So just stay away. We have all these shortcuts now because we're so instant gratification. We don't want to take the time to actually go into something, right? And so it's just like the shortcut, boom, headline, bop, done. That's how we communicate now. Rather than Joe Rogan being like, hey, why do you say that? And then you find out it's a bunch of bullshit, right? You read the fact check article and you realize it's a bunch of fucking bullshit. But everybody, but the fact checkers know they don't read the articles. What are you gonna say, Drake?
A lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can't,
Exactly.
they can't even have the question within themselves of why do you say that and
Right.
challenge it. Like that's one thing that makes Joe Rogan such a great interviewer is that he's willing to challenge the other person across from him as well as himself and like, wait, why are you saying that? And like he actually, at least he seems to want to understand, and he's
Mhm.
more intelligent than leads on. But the other point within this that I wanted to bring up was, parents abusing their children by the way that they educate them before they go to school. You can't
Right.
just blame it all on school, right? Which is what you guys were bringing up before. But we see it all the time where parents would like tell their kids stories to like play on this feeling that the kids are going to get from the story to get them to then act in a certain behavior. And that's exactly what's happening. You see it all the time where they'll make up something or they'll read some fake story or whatever because they know that's what the Disney movies are doing, isn't it? Like it's just, oh, this story is supposed to make you feel this way, so you learn this not just behavior, but like this what was it called? Like when the story's like
Moral of the story, the message.
the moral of the story, yeah, pretty much that. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Yeah, but like you learn these morals or whatever. I was shying away from using the word principle because it's not based in principles or principles that are best anyway, right?
Mhm.
It's just this moral which is based on opinion. which is, and it's just like, oh, I want my kids to learn these morals, and yeah, this is how you're supposed to be. But they themselves, like when you watch a movie, you know what the fuck's going on. Well, at least you should.
It's
I don't know if people can do that anymore.
it's
You
like
know?
when a child is growing up, they're trying to learn how to survive in the system. Like, how do I navigate this world? And if you put them in front of a Disney Channel, you're telling them, hey, whatever the people in the show accept, that's what's socially acceptable. Hey, in Disney, whatever the characters accept, like that's what's socially acceptable.
It's
Well,
like,
it's that, but hold on, it's even deeper than that, because you're, I like the word flash drive, because like when you put a flash drive in, it just like copies the information over.
it's not because you
you're
like the word
putting-
flashing.
Well, I am a flasher, as some have claimed, but hey, people claim that I'm a flasher. But my point is, when you're putting your child in front of a TV, the information is just going in.
Yeah.
So they're not, Max told me something really interesting this morning, right? Because after me, he was the first person to wake up. So I was reading something. He came in the room, sat down with me, and he goes, hey, do you want to know something pretty cool? And I was like, what's that? He goes, if I wake up early, I can see my dreams again. And I was like, what do you mean by that? He goes, oh, well, what I can do is
Yeah.
I just close my eyes and I can see my dreams again. And I
Wow.
was like, that's pretty fucking interesting. My point being, it's just a random story, but it's like, you see how when you introduce a new idea or concept, how it imprints on the child and starts to form their imagination. So when you're putting them in front of the TV, it's not just, oh, you're indicating to them this is someone to listen to. It's in their presence, it's imprinting on them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you could never have your kids watch TV, so they don't get that authority like it's coming from you. But you go to a restaurant and there's something playing on a TV, that's going to
Right.
imprint on your kids. You see what I mean? It's
Right.
happening automatically, naturally. They're absorbing it.
And so that's everywhere where you have a lack of vocabulary. Everywhere.
Right.
So when you have parents who tell you that, rich people are XYZ, it's in you. That information is inside of you. If you have people who told you that, I failed in business and I've made investments here and I failed and all this stuff, you're getting all this stuff imprinted in you when you're a child. And then you're wondering why you're so afraid of going out and talking to people and building a business and all that stuff. The only way to go through that is through using these tools. Now, here's the main point, that just as we wrap it up, there's a key point here, going back to your responsibility in standing up and changing something in the system. Not just changing something, I mean fundamentally changing the system, and who you need to be in order to do that. Look, it's very easy to be in a state, i.e. Florida, Texas, where you're like, I'm good. You don't feel the immediate, and maybe you do in some regards, but you don't feel the immediate pressure of, for example, in Mitchell State, they're implementing the vaccine mandate. That is going to happen everywhere. And the number one problem that you're going to face, and for the people who are already in countries that have, done all this crazy control, it's because people didn't step up before, a long time ago. And what I'm suggesting is for everybody who's somewhere right now that doesn't have the same political pressure that's clamping down on control, it's only a matter of time. So if you don't start now, you're only going to have yourself to blame. Because you might look at Mitchell and be like, whoa, wow, this guy's going to run this event and like 50 people potentially, and maybe 200 people who know. That's what everybody listening to this podcast should be focused on, putting themselves in a position to do that. And that happens over time with daily application in building a business, because you're not going to do it if it's not in the context of business. And the person you have to become in order to do that is something that's built over time, albeit a very short amount of time, an extremely short amount of time. And so my point here is, realize that you as an individual will be responsible for when you have children and they're in a fucked up world because you didn't do anything about it. And everyone around your child is trying to fuck your child over unconsciously, subconsciously. They're trying to fuck your child over. Why? Because all of the people around you aren't questioning anything inside of them, because they don't even have the ability to, because they're not using these tools. what people don't realize is what we created in Ottawa, for example, right? That we have 20, 30 people coming to a clubhouse, all that stuff. They're like, wow, you guys have such a great crew. Guess what? 2 years ago, we didn't have that crew. I had to create the friends I wanted. I took, for example, a great example is Carl and Megan, right? Carl was somebody who was in my life who was just like gone in his mind. But then I shared with him this process, and him and Megan took this process on for themselves. And now they're people that we constantly spend time with in their lives because they quit smoking weeds, quit vaping, quit drinking, all this bullshit. And now what we have in Ottawa, what's in Minnesota, what's developing in Florida is a community because we created that, because we took responsibility for that, specifically through business, where people get tools to actually question everything inside of themselves. Because you're not going to be able to do that on your own, and no one around you is going to change. So what Mitchell's doing, the point that I was seeing, like when we had that long phone call, is he has this plan about how he's developing this point in this group. It's just another network for him, where he's going to be pulling all of those people into what we're doing because he's clear. He knows what he's doing. What I'm saying is you as an individual have to support yourself to put yourself in the exact same position and even greater position than him you shall do. I said ye right there.
You know what's a relevant story here that is like clicking for me right now is that story of Noah's Ark, right? It's like you see the writing on the wall, right? And you're telling everyone around you, hey, there's a fucking flood coming. And everyone else is like, yeah, like everyone sees what's happening in the media, right? But like it'll handle itself. It's never happened before where it's gotten that bad. It's like we're out here building fucking arcs. And the cool part is, the animals coming, whatever, that's the people that come and they're attracted to what we're building. That's the people who see, oh shit, like let me become a part of this.
Nowadays they would be protesting them because they are choosing an animal of each gender. And they would have been like, how can you gender these animals? And he would have been like, had a whole boat full of gay animals, and then we wouldn't have had anything.
So that's the last thing I want to leave with is, look, everywhere where you think somebody else is going to take responsibility for this, oh, that's so good that Mitch is doing that in his state and my state is good or whatever. Every single point that you don't take responsibility for is going to come back and haunt you. Guaranteed, because it's already happening. And like Cameron said, it's not just a political point. Oh, they're going to enforce masks and vaccine mandates and all this stuff. That's one thing. But you're going to watch every part of the system break down. And the reason why it's going to happen, period. And the reason why you're not going to thrive in it is because you didn't start today and actually supporting yourself to have an amazing relationship and focus on what your purpose is and building a family and building a community, which is why we have that star, because that's actually how you have a good life and have the best relationships and actually build your business. And for the people who already are Tech Tutor distributors, it's like, I hope you see the responsibility in building where you are right now, because there will come a time when you're going to wish you had a community to fall back on and to support you and to be around you, to support your child's upbringing. And you better start now to create that so that you're not regretful later on, because that will guaranteed be the outcome, because that's what everyone is regretful now, that the people before us didn't stand up. We're the ones to end the cycle. We're here to do that now. So like, share, subscribe, comment if you think Mitchell's facial hair looks better than ever.
Or comment if you think I have the best facial hair.
Comment if you have
comment who has the best facial hair.
Yeah. Comment if you liked me better when I had that musty like goatee. If you go to the self-perfected
you can just comment no. Just no.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get it.
That's fine. All right.
All right.
Awesome, everyone.
See you. Bye.
See you next week.